Hey friends, welcome back to another speed build. Today I'm building another house in my Sims 2 rebuilding series, and this is for the other part of the Capp family that I haven't done yet. So this part of the Capp family has like 2 parents and then 4 kids, and I'll talk about them a little bit more later on. But this one is a little bit different, so I didn't start from scratch really with this build. I took the build that I did for the other part of the Capp family that has like two people who are married and like a brother-in-law. So it's basically that house, and then I just kind of switch up the floor plan a bit to suit this other house or this other family. And I decided to do it this way because in Veronaville in The Sims 2, which is what this is all based off of, there are a lot of repeated houses that all have very similar floor plans. So I thought it would make sense that, you know, this area of Windenburg that I'm building in would also have some, you know, similar floor plans, things like that. Like maybe this house used to be like the original version of this build, but it's been updated. They've, you know, walled in parts of it, changed up the floor plan, remodeled, all of that. So I thought that would be kind of interesting for, you know, for storytelling purposes. So this part of the Capp family is Goneril Capp, who is the daughter of the kind of main Capp family of like Consort and Contessa. And I did their house already, which I'll link here if you want to check that out. And then she is married to Albany. And Albany actually took the Capp last name since it's a much more prestigious name. Is that the right word? And then they have 4 children. They have Miranda, who is a teen, Hal and Desdemona, who are children, and then Ariel, who is, I don't know if I think she was maybe a toddler in The Sims 2. I made her an infant in this one, but, you know, obviously you could age her up if you'd like to. I'll put them on the gallery as well if you want to download the actual family. And then the house will also be on the gallery if you want to download that. And Goneril always struck me as a very severe woman, so I made her, her traits are unflirty, overachiever, and materialistic. And her bio from The Sims 2 is, while she wanted children, it certainly wasn't her idea to have this many kids. And why does she feel like Albany perhaps married her more for her money than for her love? So definitely some interesting you know, storytelling there. I think in The Sims 2 version also, when you start the game, she and Albany are not in love. Like, there's no romance between them. And that kind of implies that maybe it was like an arranged marriage, or they've just, you know, fallen out of love and whatnot. So kind of interesting. I couldn't really do that super well with the relationships in this game, because you kind of need romance in order to like have them be married and whatnot. But I tried to set it lower. Same with like their friendship bar, because I tried to, you know, recreate at least some of the relationships with the different Sims. But yeah, I think that's really interesting. And then Albany, the father, his traits are family-oriented, outgoing, and mean. Pretty much based on his kind of personality in The Sims 2, because he wasn't a very nice Sim. So I thought that would be kind of an interesting way to do it. Like, he loves his family, but he's just not like a very nice person in general. I also see Albany as being very like preoccupied with his children being, you know, quote unquote successful, and like, I don't know, like doing well in sports or, you know, in academics and everything, and not really just, you know, loving his children just because he loves them. So I think that's kind of the vibe he gives me, at least. So yeah. And here in the build, working on the kitchen, I decided to give them a more updated kitchen. I imagine, you know, maybe they have renovated this house. It was, you know, pretty old when they bought it, and they've kind of been updating certain things. So they have this really nice, big, modern kitchen. And yeah, I thought that would work well. I tried to, you know, use some of the newer appliances and whatnot. And I didn't want to make it too cluttered, so I didn't put, you know, a ton of stuff on the counters. Just tried to make it, you know, kind of cleaner and and whatnot, and much different than a lot of the rest of the house. Like, it's clearly much more modern than the rest of the build. And I thought it'd be interesting to have kind of a mix of, like a more modern kitchen and then, kind of a more traditional dining room. Since the family is, has a lot of generations, they've been around for a long time, they have a lot of different heirlooms and more formal things. So they have this, much nicer, more formal dining room with, expensive paintings and all of that. And I kind of like how this entrance hall turned out. It took me a little bit to get the layout really of like the whole build how I wanted, but yeah, I think I like how this turned out. I'll eventually put a bathroom closer to the stairs, like I'll cut out part of the living room. I was gonna put a powder room over by the other kind of main bathroom, but yeah, I don't know. I liked it better over by the stairs when I move it later on. I think it works a little bit better. And I used the kind of sliding door from Island Living, I believe. I thought that fit in really well there. I was going to use one from Eco Lifestyle, but they were just a bit too big for that wall. I think they were maybe like one tile too wide, or it was like taking up the whole wall, which I didn't quite want. So I think this one worked out a little bit nicer. And yeah, here is the bathroom. I moved that over, so there's like a nice full bathroom down here, in addition to the kind of primary suites bathroom, which will be on the other side of that fireplace. And for the fireplace, I decided to put some brick floor tiles underneath of it. Thought that would make a little bit more sense than just it right on the wood floor. Even though I know like the fireplace item itself has brick, so maybe it's not really necessary, but it just makes me feel a little bit better. And then I found that really thin, like it's technically a fence, but it reminds me of like the, I don't know, kind of like the floor trim that they do on like a threshold when it transitions from one type of flooring to another. So I thought that that worked out really well. I'm sure I knew that item existed, but I'd kind of forgotten about it. So I'm glad that I refound it and use that, so it makes it look a little bit more, I guess, realistic than just going straight from like brick to wood floor, because you wouldn't have those. I mean, they would obviously be touching, but you wouldn't see that seam necessarily. And I cut out a bit from the living room because I was originally going to put the TV above the fireplace, but it was just like, I don't know, it was really high, it didn't really look right in this space. So I ended up putting it over on this other wall, and then I was going to try to do like a built-in bookcase thing around the fireplace, but that wasn't really doing what I wanted it to do, so I just put bookcases to the side, and then I put some more underneath of the TV, and I think that looked decent. And then, yeah, I put in a piano. I thought that would make sense in this space because there's, this room's a little bit awkwardly shaped, so I thought that would kind of fill it up nicely. And then I wanted to put in a stereo, and I was kind of struggling, so I ended up getting rid of one of the sections of bookcase and putting it over there, and I think that worked out fairly well. And behind the fireplace, I left a kind of, this kind of empty space, with like the walls and whatnot, as kind of like, that'd be like where the actual chimney and stuff would be. And I'm pretty sure I put that on the second floor as well, but I'm thinking I didn't actually put a chimney item on the build itself. So I'm gonna write myself a note and add that quick before I upload it to the gallery, since I'm recording this right before I actually kind of finish uploading and everything. So yeah, I will get that added. But yeah, now I'm just in the primary suite here. And in hindsight, I kind of wish I would have made this room a little bit bigger. Seeing as Miranda, the teenager, her room will actually be bigger than this one, I think. Although that room does not have the kind of ensuite bathroom. So I guess pros and cons, but yeah, it probably could have been like one tile deeper, kind of like where the bed is. I think if I pulled that wall out one more, it would have made a little bit more sense. So maybe I'll see how that looks before I upload it and see if maybe that would be better, because it does feel a little bit cramped in here. But I really like the blue and kind of, yellowy tan color that I went with in here. I think it worked really well. Although now I'm thinking that maybe I should have given the parents separate bedrooms. I think that would have made maybe a little bit more sense for storytelling. Not that there's anything wrong with separate bedrooms, because honestly, I think I would prefer to have my own room if I was, like in a relationship with someone, just because, I mean, all the sleep experts say that you sleep much better if you're, in your own room and, and all of that. But yeah, I think that may have been better for storytelling, but maybe they're trying to keep up appearances, try to make it seem like they're, this big happy family. Even though there's obviously some issues going on. So now I am upstairs working on the kids' bedrooms, and all of the kids are up here. I think there'll be 4 bedrooms, one for each of the kids. This house doesn't have any like guest bedrooms or offices or anything, but I mean the rest of the house is pretty big, so hopefully that's not really that big of an issue. But this room that I'm working on right now is for Hal. He is the son. He's the only male child. But yeah, I went with this sort of dinosaur and kind of green theme. Tried to put in a bunch of different toys. I got that like void critter battle station in there. That's a really fun item if you have. I think that came with kids room stuff. I think that one's really, really fun to see kids playing on that one. And then I put in like the castle dollhouse, and I got him a computer and stuff too, because I thought maybe he would be into video games and all of that. And I gave Hal the hot-headed trait because his bio from The Sims 2 is, though he seems abrasive, little Hal is actually a very thoughtful boy. Will he mature into a healthy Sim despite his siblings' torment? Because I thought, he's a very sweet boy, but maybe he's very quick to anger from being teased and picked on by his siblings and maybe at school or something. So I thought that was kind of an interesting personality trait to add for him. And then, when he ages up, maybe, you can kind of decide if he's going to, be a more kind and gentler person, or if he's going to go down maybe a different road. So I thought that would be good for storytelling if you want to, play with these Sims at all. But yeah, and then here in this sort of landing area, I decided to make this kind of like a kids hangout area. So there's like, a TV, another game console, some instruments and everything. And this furniture is maybe a little bit older. Maybe they've had it for a while, so they don't really care as much about it, because they don't have, maybe guests aren't coming up here as often, so that it doesn't need to be quite as beautiful as the rest of the house. And then I pretty much just put in some different art and plants in this really long hallway. And then I believe the next room that I'll do is the nursery. And the infant Sim is Ariel. And, obviously she doesn't really have, a defined personality at this point. But I did make her intense. If you have, well, I guess, did the infant traits come with the base game? I actually don't remember. But yeah, so she has the intense trait. And yeah, so she has a bio from The Sims 2, which I always think is really funny when they give like toddlers and whatnot bios, since she doesn't really have any like thoughts or anything yet. But her bio is the youngest in a large family. Ariel just hopes she won't get lost in the shuffle. Can she get enough attention from her parents with all her siblings around? Which is funny because she doesn't know what's going on. But yeah, so her the nursery is very simple. Just put in some different toys and whatnot. And then this next bedroom is for Desdemona. She is the middle daughter, then the third child. So I gave her the cheerful trait and the slumber party animal aspiration. I imagine maybe she wants to have a lot of friends, and she has friends over all the time. So that's why I gave her a bunk bed with with actually 2 beds. So yeah, I thought that would make sense. I put in a game table in here. Maybe she loves playing games with her friends and siblings. And her biography from the Sims 2 is that she wants to be just like her older sister Miranda. Will she be able to carve her own path in such a large family? And I'll do Miranda's bedroom last, and I'll talk a little bit more about her then. But yeah, I put in just some different toys and maybe a crafting table, just so there's some different items throughout the build that different Sims can use, especially for kids. So also put in a one of the tablets in here. I thought that would make sense. And then Miranda is the oldest daughter. She's a teenager, and I'll do her room here in a minute. But yeah, just kind of finishing up this room first, and then I guess I'm actually doing the bathroom. So yeah, I guess just ignore what I'm talking about because I clearly don't know what's going on here. Yeah, just kind of rearranging this bathroom. It was kind of an interesting layout with the multiple windows and everything. So I decided to put the toilet in its own room, and I'll actually get rid of the window that's in that I guess water closet. Since I had forgotten that I had adjusted the kind of bump out part of this build, so there didn't need to be a window there anyway, which I think worked better. And yeah, just kind of, pretty much all the bathrooms are just copy and paste. It's just so much easier that way. They're not really super interesting in this build at least. But yeah, now I'm in Miranda's room doing that. And so I had created the family first in Create a Sim before I did the build, which I think helped quite a bit with like styling and all of that. So Miranda is supposed to be cynical and rebellious. She wants to get out of her parents' house and kind of do her own thing. So when I was creating her in Create a Sim, I guess I didn't necessarily want to just recreate her from The Sims 2, because the Sims 2 version is like very of the time. It was like very 2004 sort of look and feel to her. So instead I wanted her to feel very trendy now. So I used like the kind of checkered long sleeve item from that's in the catalog, and to dress her I used a lot of like black and purple. I thought those worked really well for her. And yeah, I didn't make her necessarily like super angsty looking, but definitely different than the rest of her family, because she's trying to create her own style and do her own thing. And then I imagine that she's a very creative Sim, so she really loves painting and art and all of that. And I imagine some of the artwork in her room she created, and some that she found at different stores that she really liked. Specifically the ones above her bed, I imagine that maybe she painted those ones. So they're kind of, in a place of honor. And then I gave her, a really nice computer and also the digital sketch pad. I thought that would, make sense for an artist. She, really loves drawing and all of that. So yeah, I thought that was kind of a good way to take that character. And Miranda is also interested in Mercutio Monte. And I'll actually be making their house next. So that'll be kind of the main Monte Ranch. So that'll have like the two grandparents, and then Romeo and Mercutio who live there with their grandparents. And I believe, yeah, I've actually created the Sims already. But yeah, I'll be creating their house next. So keep an eye out for that. But she's interested in him, but it doesn't seem like he is interested in her. Maybe he doesn't really know anything about her. So definitely, some interesting storytelling there. And she also has the romance aspiration. That's what she had in The Sims 2, so I thought I would carry that through for here. Maybe she, has been, or she has kind of seen that her parents aren't really, in love with each other, and she doesn't really want that sort of life for herself. So she's very interested in finding a partner and all of that. So but yeah, now I am outside working on the exterior of the build. Amazing. So I put in a pool. I thought that would make sense for them. I'm sure the kids would love it. I'm sure the parents don't really care that much, but I'm sure they probably see it more as a status symbol than anything. And then I also put in a greenhouse. I thought that would make sense for them, for this sort of property. And sorry if my voice sounds weird at all. I'm no longer sick, thankfully, but it seems to not be holding up super well when I'm trying to, talk for an extended period of time. So apologies if my voice, sounds off or anything. But yeah, just kind of doing some landscaping. I keep it fairly simple. I imagine it's, fairly well manicured. They take a lot of pride in how their estate looks. So, wanted to keep it, fairly simple and whatnot. So, yeah. And I'm actually recording this on the 26th, like right before I upload it later today. So, because I ran out of time a little bit with the holiday, so I wanted to at least make sure I got this out today a little bit later than normal, in case you noticed by chance. But yeah, hopefully you had a good Christmas if you were celebrating, or hopefully you had a good weekend, either way, and that you got everything on your Christmas list if you were, if you had anything that you really wanted to get. So yeah, hopefully it was a good restful time for you. And yeah, like I said, the next build that I'm doing is the Monty Ranch, so that'll be kind of the main house in the Monty family. I've already done 2 other ones, which I'll try to link here. But yeah, the Monty Ranch, it's honestly the Sims 2 version. It's not, all that grand or anything. You kind of expect it to be a bit, I don't know, a bit more interesting, but it's a fairly simple build. So, but yeah, that'll come out on the Saturday. So keep an eye out for that. And then I think that's actually it for Veronaville, at least for the main houses. I don't know. I'm debating if I want to do any of the community lots that came in that game, in The Sims 2, at least. Like I don't know. They're not super interesting. I think the ones that were in like Strangerville or Strange Town in The Sims 2 were a bit more interesting. So I don't know. I'll have to do some looking through and seeing if any of them would make sense to recreate in The Sims 4. Because I know there were like retail and grocery stores, but we don't really have grocery per se in The Sims 4. Yeah, so I guess we'll see. I'm planning on doing some planning later today on kind of the rest of the series, and if I want to do any of the other worlds from The Sims 2. I know there's like Belladonna Cove, which has a lot of apartments that I could maybe try to recreate, especially now that we have the For Rent pack. Or there's also there's like Blue Water Village, I think is what it's called, that came with the Open for Business pack. I know that one has some interesting builds. I think that's where they introduced Malcolm Land Grab in The Sims 2, so maybe I could do something there. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on Sims 2 builds, please let me know, or any other builds, honestly, because I think my plan is to do a Sims 2 build like one day a week and then something else the other day, assuming I obviously keep going with the Sims 2 builds. But yeah, so I guess actually the Monty build probably won't be on Saturday, it'll be on next Tuesday. So yeah, I guess just make sure you're subscribed if you want to, and turn on notifications if you want to be notified, I guess. And yeah, in the build, I'm just finishing up with doing all of the lighting around the lot. I did kind of a mix of more modern, like updated lighting that I would imagine that they've done for during their kind of renovations of the build. Used a lot of those wall sconces from Growing Together. I really love that light, so I'm gonna use it to death, so apologies about that. But yeah, and then that will pretty much wrap up the build. Since I've been rambling for a while, I think I'm just gonna end my voiceover a little bit early here, but I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I know there's tons of things you could be doing instead, so it really means a lot. If you enjoyed the build, please leave a like, that helps a lot, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thank you so much. Have a great day.